news. Sats, I want more. To the moon, that's what we're here for. Good morning, crypto. It's a brand new day. Stacking Bitcoin, come what may. Good morning, crypto. Making moves from the basement straight to the news.
Step 1, wake up early, gon' ride the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Before the show, there we go. I don't know why it does that sometimes. It was working right before the show, and then as soon as I go live, it doesn't like to work. So good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge of financial freedom. Today, I've got a few headlines. One of them is about something I'm seeing from the Army. You know, I've been talking about nuclear all year, and the train's not going to stop. So we're going to talk about nuclear again today. And I got something from Jerome Powell from yesterday. So before we get into all of that, though, let's dive on in, get you prepped for some success today, because you know what I got pulled up in the background, and it's that stock heat map. So we are seeing just a little bit of some movements here in the pre-market this morning. We've got Apple sitting up 0.25% this morning. We've got Nvidia up 2.35. We've got Berkshire Hathaway up 0.11. Amazon sitting up 0.62. Eli Lilly sitting down 0.08. We've got ExxonMobil up 0.25. We've got Tesla sitting up 1.28. We've got P&G down 0.12. Microsoft up 0.21. We've got Google up 0.08, looking pretty neutral, and Meta up 0.66. Let's get over to the crypto side of things, because that's what you're all here for this morning. We've got those crypto bubbles looking pretty green here on the daily, but we are starting to see a little bit of red on the hourly. I prefaced it in the chat up above. I said I was in a short, and we're looking to take some profit around a level we've talked about over and over again. I got a secondary take profit at New York lows from yesterday, so we'll get to that in just a second. But on the daily here, we've got Bitcoin up 1.6, Ethereum up 4.8, we've got BNB up 0.1%. We've got XRP up 2.6, Solana up 5.6, Doge sitting up 2.8. We've got Tron sitting up 3.4, Cardano up 3.2. We've got Chainlink up 2.8. Hyperliquid taking a spot in the market cap from Stellar Lumen sitting up 5.8. We've got Stellar Lumen sitting up 3.2, Bitcoin Cash up 4.4. We've got Sui up 4.5. We've got Avalanche up 2.1. We've got Leo token down 0.1%. HBAR up 5.7. And we've got Shiba Inu dropping from that number 20 spot, sitting up 3.3. For the fear and greeds this morning, we are in fear on the stock market. You know, not too unexpected. We did get a massive shakeout, and it's not too surprising to see us in that fear. You know, I wouldn't be too scared if we hit extreme fear. You know, I would just be buying, but that's just my plans, and we will see if we can get to some extreme fear. Definitely been having a shakeout in the markets, and when everyone else is fearful, you should be buying the best assets. That's not financial advice. That's just what the big money does. When everyone else is selling off, they're buying their assets for a massive discount so that they can ride it back towards the upside. On the crypto side of things, no different there. We are sitting in some fear, and we'll have to see if we can get that dip down to extreme fear. I think it is needed if we're going to get another move towards the upside. For the liquidation heat map, we've got some liquidity directly towards the upside of us. We'll have to see if we can get up there and grab it. It is directly above us at 113,600. Nice little hot spot on that daily. This 3-day does look quite nice for a move towards the upside if we can get some bouncing on a level we talked about yesterday. That's pretty much my take profit level, so we will see if we can get there. We've got that top side liquidity directly above us at that same area we just talked about on the daily, and a little bit higher than that, we've got another little hot area sitting at 116,100 all the way up to 116,800. So a nice little area to get up and grab. If we can get some bouncing off of a key level, we will talk about in just a second. Let's see if this 2-week actually loads for a change. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. BC, how long does it take for the weekly charts to play out? It can take a while, honestly. Sometimes it can take a month or two for you to really see the move on a weekly chart get to where it's supposed to be. My XLM weekly long played out in like 5 days though, but that's not always the normal. So sometimes it does take a while for those to play out. I was in a Bitcoin long from like 60 some odd thousand all the way up to the hundreds, and that was a multi-week trade. So it really just depends. Sometimes you get some pullbacks and sometimes you don't. And I just ride out the bigger moves, and that's what I try to stay with. But I've been trying to dive a little into the shorter time frame trades. 4 o'clock in the morning is normally my entry point, and that's when we get that kill zone from the Asia markets. So we do have this liquidity on the 2-week all the way back up at some all-time highs. So if we can clear out a bunch of the liquidity in our local areas, really turn some areas back into some support that we've been talking about, we can make that strong move back towards the upside, clear out that top side liquidity. But we do have to turn some areas back into some support first before we get there. So let's get over to that Bitcoin chart. Say good morning to the chat. We've got quite a bit going on in the chat this morning. I know I had another question there. Oh man, you're short, BC. Feeling bearish? I've been feeling a little bit bearish for a little while. So, I've been favoring shorts over longs. The longs have been playing out, but the shorts have been playing out a whole lot harder. I was in that short from the other day from Asia Market Open, and it played out way past levels I was looking for. So I didn't get a chance to talk about that yesterday because I was up the entire night in the trade babysitting it. So sorry about that, but I did drop this trade in the Discord. So if you're not in the Piper Academy Discord, you aren't missing out. We've got CCM first in the chats this morning. He said, am I really first? I think people were waiting for that morning motivational video and they didn't see it, and then they headed over here. We got Steve Hickey second in the chat. Good morning to you. We got Curtis Hill in here. Good morning. Let's see who else we got. We got Dre asking if we're going to get some pullbacks, and it's a very good potential in the crypto markets. We're seeing a little bit of green on the TradFi this morning, but I don't think that's overly sustainable, and we will kind of have to see how things play out. We've got Ernie asking for Zora. So let me get that on my list. We got Zora on the list. If you got any other alt requests or stock requests, go ahead and throw them in the chat for me. We got Donato Cabrera in the house. Caliphant in here. She asked about Pepsi. We can take a look at the Pepsi stock. They do produce a lot of products, so not a bad stock. Definitely but a more safe stock to pick when everything's going kind of to the downside. They produce a lot of goods that help them stay afloat. Let's see who else we got here. Scrolling on down. K Diggity in the house. Good morning. Hope you're having a great morning so far. Let's see who else. That looks like it's about it for there. But let's zoom this chart on out. We've been seeing quite a bit of downside momentum. We did talk about the other day wanting to hold our golden pocket on the fib extension and get up to the midline if we wanted to see some bullishness. Caliphant saying serve is cooking. I haven't even looked at it this morning. Goodness, you're making me happy about my stocks. I don't look at them very often, honestly. They're long-term plays. So I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you got in on serve back when I was talking about it too. So we did talk about some key levels towards the upside that we would need to reclaim here on the daily time frame. We needed to hold this golden pocket fib extension and then get above the midline of this giant fair value gap if we really wanted to change some trend here. We do still have a little bit of some higher lows here with the candle bodies, but this wicking action really gives you a little bit of worry. We did get that nice little bounce here off of our platinum pocket, and that looks like an area of some keen interest. I was looking for 106 or 100 when we got some downside movements last time. We got this higher low that moved towards the upside, really grabbed up liquidity and really left a pocket of liquidity towards the downside. What gets wicked often gets candlesticked. So to come back down to this platinum pocket at about $105,000 would not be too unexpected if we can't start holding some key levels here. You're also getting a lot of rollover here on the daily time frame with that prime oscillator, and that MACD's breaking below our zero line as well. Money flow not looking too great on the daily time frame either. So definitely a few things that can lead to some worry. We do have a little bit of liquidity all the way down here at this key level I have marked out as well. We haven't talked about it in a long time, but if we can get down to some of these levels, we've got this giant fair value gap from back here that would also serve as an area of some support. It would be a little bit worrisome, but I would be buying in those areas if we can hold it as some support. That's that $97,000 to about $101,000 range. So definitely a few levels to the downside. The first one we need to worry about in our local time frame, let's get this zoomed into the hourly, is going to be 111,800. As you can see, that's a very close to those Asia market lows. And that's that area I've got my take profit on this morning short. I wake up super early, so I was in the short at 4 a.m. That would have been this candlestick back here. So I've been in for a little while, and I've been riding this to the downside. I'm really waiting to see if we can get all the way down to 111,800. That's an area we've talked about over and over again. It was support through our sideways range way back here. That was that first low area, and then we've been negating it ever since. So if we can hold that as some support, we could really get back up to some key areas that we would like to see. Let me get that kill zone turned off now. All right, there we go. There's that kill zone turned off. For now, we've got some local resistance at 113,600. That was an area we talked about on Monday, and that was that area we would really want to get above so that we can make our way back up towards our golden pocket here. That golden pocket is going to be some higher term time frame resistance. We don't have a lot of momentum to really get there, though. As you can see, that MACD is sitting below our zero line, getting that curvature back towards the downside. Prime oscillator also pointing back towards the downside here. And if you look at this money flow, it is on its way out on the hourly. Definitely a lot of worry on this shorter term time frame. We do have that potential for a bounce here at 111,800. But the daily and the hourly both looking like you could continue towards the downside. That next real area I would look for some bouncing at, coming in at about $110,000. That's an area we've been holding as some support here. You do have a little bit of a range above that, coming in at about 110,500, where we get some equal candle bodies at. So two little bouncing areas directly below us if we start breaking below 111,800. For the morning, though, that 15-minute also looking a little bit bearish here, but like you could see a little bit of bouncing in the short-term time frame. You're coming below that zero line on that MACD with a little bit of sideways momentum. That prime oscillator also dropping to the downside, and that money flows in the red, but we're very close to some bottoming here, and that's why I would look for a little bit of bouncing at some levels directly below us in the shorter term time frame, but that might not reverse the trend unless you can see a massive change in the money flow. So that is kind of what I got for the morning. I saw Solana on that request list as well. We can definitely take a look at some Sol. Caliphant even saying BTC looking kind of bearish. It most definitely is. You also got some stock markets looking a little bit bearish as well, but until we get over there, we'll kind of have to see how it all plays out. But there is a little bit of bearishness to kind of worry about this morning, and we'll kind of have to see if we can hold some key levels that are directly below us, especially with what Jerome Powell said yesterday. So let's get over to those news articles real quick, and then we can get over to some stock requests and some alt requests. If we got any other requests in there, go ahead, throw them in the chat for me. And I'm going to take a quick drink of some coffee before we get into this one, because this one is one of my favorite topics to talk about. So I'm probably going to do a little bit of talking on it. So if you've been watching Good Morning Crypto for any length of time, that we've been talking about nuclear, and I've thrown out several nuclear stocks in the Discord from a long time ago. And if you've been in since when I called it out, you're sitting up like almost 400% on every single one of those stocks. And it looks like the nuclear train is not stopping anytime soon. The Department of Energy tapped 11 companies to make new nuclear reactors. And it looks like the Army is doing the same thing now. Army detail plans to put nuclear reactors on 10 bases. Scrolling on in here, the Army says it will install small nuclear reactors as power plants on 10 bases as its efforts they're calling Project Janus, a name chosen for the reference to the Roman god of doorways, or more philosophically, transitions. This is about the transition from prototypes to fully commercial nuclear power to provide energy resilience with our soldiers, says Jeff Waxman, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Army for Installations, Energy and Environment, said Tuesday at the annual conference of the Associations of the U.S. Army in Washington, D.C. Dang, that title's a mouthful. Let's get in here a little bit further, because there was something interesting that I thought we should highlight here. If you think about our engagement and the conflicts in the Indo-Pacific, it is not going to be like a war we've had the last 40 or 50 years, Driscoll said. We are going to need energy on the actual objective. We're going to need to be able to access power like we've never needed to before. And this is a big part of why you've seen not only the military, but the Department of Energy, and not just the Department of Energy, but all your massive tech companies pushing nuclear. Bill Gates, who used to be absolutely opposed to nuclear, is now hopping on the nuclear bandwagon. And if that's not telling you that nuclear is coming here to stay and it's going to be making a massive change in the way that we as a people have energy, then I don't know what will. And this is just the next leg on the nuclear train. And we will have to see which companies get tapped by the Army to make these nuclear reactors, but we will take a look at a few companies that might get that bid for the Army here in just a second. We also have this coming from Fed Chair Jerome Powell yesterday. Holy crap, military titles. Yeah, it's nowhere close to the military titles that you see from other countries, though, where they're like, we've never served in a war, but we've got like medals all across our chests and like crazy titles and stuff. But like, it's definitely a mouthful, CCM. Fed Chair Jerome Powell worried about a hiring slowdown, a sign more rate cuts might be coming. A sharp slowdown in hiring poses a growing risk to the U.S. economy, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said Tuesday, a sign that the Fed will likely cut into key interest rates twice more this year. Powell said in written remarks that despite the federal government shutdown cutting off official economic data, the outlook for employment and inflation does not appear to have changed much since our September meeting, when the Fed reduced its key rate for the first time this year. Fed officials at the meeting also forecast that the central bank would reduce its rate twice more this year and once in 2026. We will definitely have to keep our eyes on that one. And hopefully we can get some more data from the federal government here. Rising downside risks to employment have shifted our assessment of the balance of risk, he said. Tariffs have lifted the Fed's pressure measure of inflation to 2.9%, he said, but outside the duties, there aren't broader inflationary pressures that will keep prices high. And as we kind of watch that CME Fed Watch tool, let's get it pulled on up here. Be prepared, you're going to get a little bit of a flashbang. But scrolling on in here, you're really seeing those chances for a rate cut skyrocket all over again. And I'm not surprised by it, especially since if things actually are as they say and inflation pressures are kind of staying where they were from before, to see the job market really taking the hit that it has been, this does give the Fed that ability to cut rates all over again, especially since you need people having jobs to spend money in the economy. So that is their big worry for now, and it has been for quite a while. And we will kind of have to see if we get a federal government opening up to give us some data that might negate this rate cut chance. But for now, it's looking like this is going to hold steady. All right, let's get into a few requests in just a second. But we did have a few things to kind of go over. This one, we've got Circle breaking below that trend line we had talked about. Might be looking for some lower entries, which was a possibility with the rising support and rising resistance that we could break towards the downside if we didn't get that bouncing action on Circle. So we did talk about that lower entry point, and that was way down here at about $120. But let's get over to some of those nuclear stocks that we talk about all the time. I see Jay Violet in the chat. Good morning. Well, good evening to you. I saw that you got your winnings from Hodl the Line. I hope you enjoy that. We will kind of, if you got any questions, go ahead, throw them out there, and we can help you out with setting that up if you need it. It does look like we're getting a little bit of a bounce this morning on Bitcoin, so we'll kind of have to see where that one stops. But we've talked about OKLO for quite a while. It does make modular nuclear reactors, and this is a company that could potentially be tapped by the Army to make nuclear reactors. I got it to work. I got to work out how to use it, says Jay Violet. Yeah, it can take a little bit of a second to, set it all up. There is a little bit of a process to set up those two-factor authentication keys with a physical device, but it is pretty easy. So if you got any questions, don't be scared to reach out and ask those. We can definitely help you out with that. But here on OKL, we got that rejection off of not the 1-618, not the 2-618, but the 3-618. And we're looking to try to hold our 3-382 here. I do have these fib extensions kind of drawn out for some areas of interest. And after this rejection off of the 3-618, I would look for a little downside here. We do have the 3-382 coming in at $171, and we've got a lot of bearishness here on the hourly. You do have that MACD getting that rollover here. You've got that rollover on your prime oscillator as well, and the only holdup is our money flow here. You've got your volume kind of slowed up just a little bit here. And if you can't hold that 3-382, you've got a giant CME gap here at your 2-618. So definitely an area that could be of some interest of entry if you can hold that as some support. If we drop below that, I've got an area down here where I will start taking a little bit of profits, and that's this $145. This was resistance all through this range. That's still me being up absolutely insane percentages, because we were talking about this here back in let's see, where was it? Back in like February of this past year. I was buying the lows from back here where we're talking about like $20, and we're sitting at $180 right now. So massive moves towards the upside to take a little bit of profit at an area that should be support. Doesn't worry me too much. It is a little bit of a percentage loss from current levels down to here. You're talking about a 20% loss, but I'm okay with a 20% loss here to kind of see if we hold what was resistance as some support, and then try to see if we can get some lower entries. OKLO has been on an absolute tear, and it's got more legs on it that could potentially push it towards the upside, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't get some pullbacks. Daily also getting some more movements towards the upside here, but definitely looking like you could see some topping action here soon. Weekly also kind of looking the same here, as it's been on an absolute tear, and you're starting to finally get some overbought signals here. So you've even had a few analysts talking about OKLO being a little bit toppy, but it's got all of these deals, not just with the Department of Energy, but also some private companies to make nuclear reactors with. So definitely keep your eyes on some potential lower entries if we do see that rejection and the drop below the, I guess that was the 4-618 that we rejected off of there. So 4-618 was our resistance area, and if we lose the 4-236, coming back down to that 3-618 might be an area of some interest if we hold it as some support, and if not, coming back down to those levels I talked about $146 there. If we don't hold that, I'm selling, because I was in at like the extreme lows, and we're talking about $20 entries and sitting at 185. So taking, we break below 145. Another big one I've talked about is SMR. They make modular nuclear reactors here, and we are seeing a little bit of, it looks like my stream is messing up here. Picked back up. All right. It does look like we're seeing a lot of resistance at our CME gap here, and I'm potentially looking at maybe taking a little bit of extra profits. I did take some profits back here, and I'm waiting to see if I should take profits again. We are in a little bit of an uptrend here, but those higher term time frames are looking a little bit toppy. The weekly was looking toppy, the daily looking toppy, so maybe a chance for some lower entries back at like $33 if we reject off of this again. So really looking like our local resistance is here. We are making higher lows, but that could easily break towards the downside here. Really cool off those higher term time frames, because we were buying back here as well. We talked about it last year. And then we talked about it again back in April when we got some nice solid bouncing action off of our support line. So this is another nuclear reactor company that has some massive partnerships. They've got big partnerships with like Microsoft and things like that to make nuclear reactors for their data centers. Potential for another company to be paired with the Army here. We do have LEU, which has been on a massive tear to the upside, and it provides all the nuclear fissionable material for these companies to make energy with. And this one, I'm not really sure when I should be selling, because it's been on an absolute tear as well. And if you were buying back here when I was talking about it, then you got in at like $70 and $40-ish. That's a nice little area of entry, and we're sitting at like $422 right now. So another nuclear stock that has been on an absolute tear towards the upside, and it does look like it's got some continued legs here on the higher term time frame, getting some curvature back towards the upside, money flow really coming back in on that higher term time frame as well, and we're holding the 3618 as some strong support. So definitely looking like you could continue towards the upside, but we do have some local resistance that was at the 4236, but it does look like pre-market is opening up above that right now. So I'm not really sure when to start selling off on LEU, but when I do, I will let you guys know. But we did have some alt requests to kind of get into. That first one we'll just dive into is going to be Solana. So we did talk about some levels on some Solana here, and we are seeing quite a bit of sideways momentum on the higher term time frame, and that MACD's running nice and sideways here, really waiting for some money flow to start coming back in on the daily. But we've got our secondary reversal signal here that could kind of push things back up towards the upside. Oh, Serve, that was another one. We will take a look at Serve after we get through the rest of the requests there, because that's another one I called out. Robotics company, been on an absolute tear, and I've been telling people, you know, they got big deals coming. They want to fully automate the delivery systems, not just with like Uber Eats, but with like all of your companies that have like delivery drivers. They want to cut that all out and just have a robot car deliver people's goods to them. So big things in the work for Serve. But Solana could get that move back up to $217. That's an area we kind of talked about here. We wanted to see the 382 hold on our fibs, and that was coming in at 190. That is where we got our bouncing action. That pulled back above 198, and we're really waiting to see if this 198 area is going to be our nice strong support for now, and we can continue up to 217. Let's take a look at that hourly time frame and see what we're looking at here, because it is no different than Bitcoin, and you are looking a little bit toppy here on the hourly. You are in a little bit of an uptrend, and you're waiting to see if you can get above our local resistance here at $208. That's an area we had talked about from the last time we looked at Solana, and then we could get that move back towards the downside here, especially with how toppy that hourly is looking. And it looks like that 15-minute push towards the upside did play out just a little bit. Let's get it zoomed on in real quick, and then we can take that look back up. The Bitcoin push towards the upside did get a little bit of some resistance at an area I was looking at. And we'll kind of have to see if we can get that move back up towards the upside here. We are getting a little bit of some curvature here on that 15-minute. Same here, but that money flow's still in the red and is looking like it's headed back towards the downside just a little bit here. We are in that uptrend for now, but we've got that very local resistance directly above us, that 210 to 28 area, and that's going to be an area we will need to hold as some support if we want to get back up to 217 here. So that's kind of what I'd look for on the short shorter term time frame, hourly is looking a little bit toppy, so to see us reject off of our local resistance and then come back down to 198, try to hold that as some support again, would not be too unexpected. Money flow is on the green here on the hourly, and that volume starting to pick back up, but that money flow is starting to roll over just a little bit. So keep your eye on that 210 area to see if we reject off of that, and if not, getting that move back towards the upside at 217 would be that area of interest for me. If we do reject off of 210, coming back down to 198 would be that area of interest to the downside. And it looks like Bitcoin continued a little bit of downside momentum right now, so we'll kind of have to see how this morning plays out. There was a little bit of iffiness there on the higher term time frames, and we've got a little bit to worry about on even that weekly chart. So let's take a look at Zora. That was requested as well. I'm not sure I've ever taken a look at it before. Apparently I have. So let's take a look at some Zora and see what's going on there. We got that move back to, that was an area we were calling out the other day, was 10 cents, 10 and about a half cents. We got a little bit of a bounce below that, 10.4. So a little bit below the target we were looking for. But then we got that move back up to our golden pocket on the fib extensions here. We are in a little bit of an uptrend. Let's get some of these levels cleared on out to the downside there, and then see what we could look for on the higher term time frame. Let's get this moved on out to the daily. Daily is starting to look a little bit toppy here. We've got that platinum pocket resistance up at 12.5 cents. So that's an area of interest towards the upside if we can continue with this uptrend, because the thing that's holding up Zora right now is going to be this money flow. It's finally breaking into the green on the daily, and that could give it a push above that platinum pocket. We'll kind of have to see how price reacts there first. If it does come in as a little bit of resistance, seeing a little bit of some pullbacks to that golden pocket might not be too unexpected, and would really give you that move back above with a little bit of cool off. That money flow is heavily in the green here on that daily time frame, and we would kind of have to see if that continues across the board. So that hourly is looking like it is breaking into the red with some money flow, but you're getting some sideways momentum and curvature back towards the upside, and that MACD is heavily above that indicator line and is pointing back towards the upside here as well. So really waiting to see if this golden pocket holds as some support for now. It does look like you might get a little bit of pullback in the morning if Bitcoin does get some pullbacks here, and then you could really get that launch off of the golden pocket. It is some nice local support for now, and you would have to see how price continues from there. And if it does break below that golden pocket, that nice entry area that we were talking about the other day, coming in about that 10.5 cent range, would be that move to watch for. Let's see what we're looking like here on the 15-minute and see if we got some continued sell-off there. Looks like you could continue towards the upside if this money flow really continues here. So you do have a little bit of price divergence from Bitcoin's price action here. As you can see, we're making those highs when Bitcoin's making those lows. So definitely could give you a little bit of continued moves towards the upside here, and that local resistance area directly above us on the shorter term time frame is coming in at 11.88. So let's get that horizontal drawn on out for you so you might know where you might see some resistance at. I see Lunar Beaches Crypto in the house. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a great day so far. Let's drop those LBC emojis if you got them. All right, we had Zora. That was Zora for you, and we can take a look at Pepsi. Let's get over to my stock page here. Don't often look at Pepsi. It is not on my buy list, and not a company that I pay a whole lot of attention to. But let's see what's going on here. I'm pretty sure I've got it on my list because it is one of the bigger companies. I guess I don't have it on my list. So let's take a look at Pepsi. We need to click on stocks, not LEU. We got Pepsi. Oh, I guess it was on my list. PepsiCo. And seeing a little bit of some downside action. Not too unexpected when the rest of the market was getting a little bit of flush out. You know, they do use some of those products that have been getting a little bit of volatility off of the tariffs, like corn. You know, they use some corn to sweeten their sodas there. So to see that downside action off of that, not too unexpected. Let's get some fib levels pulled on up from our high to our low and see where we're sitting at. Looking like that 382 is our resistance for now, and we would really need to hold our 236 as some support here. It was resistance right there, and we're trying to get back above the 382. I see Redmond in the house. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a great day so far. Oop, there's Bitcoin continuing a little bit of some downside momentum. We're getting decently close to my first take profit at that 111,800. So take profit one coming here a little bit soon, like $90. We will see if we get there. But we are seeing a little bit of upside momentum in some of your TradFi markets so far. And this is going to be our first local resistance for Pepsi. You are in a little bit of a head and shoulders here. You've got your shoulder and your lower shoulder, but things are looking really toppy on that higher term time frame. You're getting some overbought signals. Money flow's just coming in green here, and that MACD line coming in with a little bit of some sideways momentum, but nothing too crazy. So definitely would like to see how that price reacts at the 382 first. This has been a nice move towards the downside here. We ended up holding some of the lows from back here before we really got that move back towards the upside. So might not be a bad buying area if we can really hold that 236 as some support. And getting that nice hourly look here, you are seeing some curvature back towards the upside. That would give you that indication that you might try to bounce up against some resistance at 154.50 cents again, and that's that 382. That could give you that pushback towards the downside. Pre-market opening up a little bit below where we closed yesterday, but really trying to hold the highs that were resistance at $150. So that's that area to kind of see some bouncing action at to continue towards the upside. Money flows really in the green here, but with daily looking a little bit toppy, could definitely get that pushback towards the downside and see what happens from there. 15 minute, see what the morning's looking like. A lot of toppiness here as well. So if you can't hold 150, coming back down to at least retest the lows here at 147 might be something to watch for. And if you can't hold that, that's where you'd look for that 236 and $144. All right, any other alt requests we got for the morning? Because I got about 10 minutes left, and Caliphant asked for some serve. So let's take a look at serve. I know we'll just go over to my portfolio list. Serve, getting those move back towards the upside, holding that 50% line quite nicely. That is what we really wanted to watch for. Seeing that golden pocket come in as some resistance right now after that midline was some resistance. So looking like a little bit of some lower highs here, but we are still in a little bit of an uptrend here, and we've got that pre-market trying to open back up at that golden pocket area. So something to kind of watch for here is to see if you've got that golden pocket coming in as some resistance. We are trying to negate a lot of what this 15-minute shorter term time frame is saying, so we'll have to look back up towards that higher term time frame here. Higher term time frame definitely looking a little bit toppy. You've got two bearish divergences stacked up. You've got your peak seeker as well. We will kind of have to see if this golden pocket can be broken and turned into some support here to get that move back towards the upside of our CME gap. This is a giant CME gap from our dip towards the downside, and we'll kind of have to see how that all plays out. This golden pocket is our local resistance for now, but you do have our local support being directly below us at $14.50. That is that 50% line. That is our CME gap bottom. So a lot of confluence down there for some more buying in at. We've got your money flow really trying to get back towards the green here on the higher term time frame, and that's what I'd kind of be waiting for if you do get another rejection off of that golden pocket and a move towards the downside. This is a weekly looking really nice for a little bit of some continuation. Your money flow just breaking back into the green here, and we were buying. I was buying all through this range here when we were seeing this nice sideways consolidation, and to see this move back towards the upside here has been quite nice. Really waiting to see if this golden pocket can be broken. That's right around the areas we're really trying to get above, and that next real upside target is coming in quite close to where Kelvin said. You've got $20 and about 17 cents being the platinum pocket, and the top side being of that CME gap coming in at $20.40. Our all-time highs on serve are $25. So if we can start turning some of these areas into some support, then you've really got some momentum towards the upside here, and we'll just have to wait and see on the shorter term time frames if you continue to see that rejection off of the golden pocket or not, and if we hold that 50% line. This might be our new little consolidation area for now. It is a nice area to kind of consolidate in so you can get some continued momentum back towards the upside. We did do that back here. We did that back here as well. And then you see those massive moves towards the upside like this. Once you broke our resistance, you've got that nice move towards the upside of 99%. And then when you broke the highs from here, you've got that nice move towards the upside of about 50-60% there. So definitely a nice little move towards the upside for serve, and really waiting to see if this is going to be our resistance and if we hold our 50 as some support there. So AUKI, is that a crypto project there? Let's take a look at it here and see what we've got. AUKI, looks like it. Spot crypto. See what we got going on. It is in a little bit of an uptrend. Let's get this zoomed on out to the higher term time frame there. Looks like Bitcoin hit my take profit one and got a little bit of bounce towards the upside, so we'll kind of have to see what happens there. Robotics, says Redmond. Definitely a nice little hold of some support back here. As you can see, it got that nice little bouncing action off of a horizontal I would have drawn out at 0.18 area. Let's get that drawn on out so you can see that nice little bouncing action off of our wicks. We got that nice wick off, and we're really waiting to see if we can get some continuation towards the upside. We've got local resistance coming in at 0.284. So let's get that one drawn on out for you. That is going to be a little bit of a higher term time frame one. So let's make it thicker. This one also needs to be thicker. Nice little sideways range here. You'll kind of have to see if we can get some continuation off of that. Let's get a fib drawn from our lows to our high here. We've got this coming on in. Looks like that 382 was our resistance area there. Definitely looking like that 50 is some nice support in the shorter term time frame, and you're really seeing a little bit of sideways momentum coming in here on the MACD and that prime oscillator. Money flow not really in the green just yet, and that volume is a little bit low here. So You've got a few things to kind of hold you up in our current range. That's going to be that 50% line, which we've got that bouncing off of twice, and that's coming in at 02405. That'd be an area of some interest for me if we continue to reject off of that 382. And if you can't hold that, coming back down towards our golden pocket area will be that next little area to watch at 0205. You do have these very equal candle bodies as well as 02206. So let's get that horizontal ray drawn out as well. Basically the midline between that 50% and our golden pocket there. So let's get this zoomed on into a shorter term time frame, see what we got going on that hourly. You are seeing that rejection off of that 382 there. That is our top side local resistance. And you're seeing that MACD rollover and that prime oscillator as well. So getting a little bit of a lower entry, kind of holding that 50% line all over again, might not be too unexpected here, especially with this divergence as well. And you're getting that true 7 rolling over. So MACD rolling over, prime oscillator rolling over, true 7 rolling over. You've got a hidden divergence as well. And you would really need to see if money flow can hold us up at our current area. So local area for some support here on the shorter term time frame that you would need to hold is going to be 0252. Let's make that a short term time frame line. If you start dropping below that, coming in to watch that 50% line would be that area of interest for me here. So definitely looking like you could see a little bit of continuation back down towards that. If you do see that bouncing action there all over again, that 382 is going to be that area of interest. That hourly is looking quite toppy though, and that 15-minute looking a little bit toppy as well. You've got this very big bodied red candle here, so definitely looking like you're seeing a little bit of some sell-off this morning. Not too unexpected, as that's pretty much what we're seeing a little bit across the market, and we're trying to hold local areas of support. That's where we got that Bitcoin take profit from when I called out that short this morning, and that's pretty much what a lot of these assets have been doing, coming back to a local area of support, trying to hold it, and then see if you can get some cool off with some sideways momentum there. So keep your eye on that local level of 0252, and if that's not holding, you've got some areas of interest directly below you at 024 and 02206. So those are those two areas I would look for to the downside on that one. It is 6:28 though, and time to wind the show on down. We got 15 people over on X. I appreciate all of you watching there. I appreciate all of you chiming in on the chat and lurking in the background here on YouTube as well. Looks like we hit some highs that we haven't hit on viewership in quite a long time. So I appreciate every single one of you tuning on in. Make sure to tune into the rest of the shows here on the Piper Academy, because we got 2 other shows that we do daily. We've got my show every single morning at 5:45 a.m. Central, so 6:45 Eastern. We've also got that morning market report at 10 a.m. Eastern time. That's where Piper breaks down all of the data and all of the macro news that you need to be paying attention to. We've got Trading with OC at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'm in bed by that time, but it's a great place to be if you're doing some trading, you want to have a little bit of fun, and you like to do a little bit of learning. And if you hit that thumbs up button with OC in the morning, he will tell you what you win. So a little bit of fun in the morning, a little bit of fun in the evening, and this is where we start the day off every single day. So make sure to wake on up, because today's going to be a good day.